First of all, I'm glad that you're doing this blog, man. I think it's something that's definitely needed. Anytime that we can have discourse, anytime that we can consult, anytime that we can, talk about difficult things, which I've done for the past decade on my talk show, Core Issues. Reassessment, for those that may not know the definition, it's a processing. It's a looking not only at yourself, but looking at your surroundings. And so it's kind of a combination of things, but I've been so dedicated to understanding what it means to be in true reality. I talk to a lot of people, so each person has their own reality, and I think that each person has their own universe, each soul, each mind, and the mind is more powerful than the soul. So each person, when you think and you take the culmination of their thoughts, their dreams, and you go past this world, that's something that's unique of how this person was born and how they made it to their source. Because whether we want to accept it or not, your body's going to return to the dust, and your soul, which is not in your physical body, is already with our Creator. And so the reassessment is really to figure out what it means to be a soul, what it means to be a spiritual being, because that's really only when we're living in the Spirit can we truly be happy, man. And so the reassessment is to really figure out who we are. And when we understand who we are, everything else opens up. And when we understand who we are, then I can see you, Brother O, and not only can I sharpen with you, but you can get that stuff to me, man, that's going to make me go back home and love my family that much better. And that spreads. So when you love your family that much better, they're going to go and deal with their friends and love their friends like no other. You've seen those commercials sometimes where somebody did a good deed, then somebody saw it and did a good deed, and saw that and did a good deed, but to really help individuals to find themselves and find their own walk, man, I think it's a powerful thing. So I thank you for the opportunity to just share that. And so even sitting down and processing this is going to solidify that process within my own heart. But all the glory goes to God.
You know it.
Since you're doing this blog and everything, and with the particular, your guests, and I'm definitely a fan, so I'm going to be bookmarking it, I'm going to be liking it, sharing it, all those things that's in this day and age. When it comes to this medium of blog, what do you see the people that's listening in, and what are some of the things that they could do to take this to the next point? Do they need to have discussions in their home about some of these topics? What's the next step as far as them being able to not only support you, but through you, we can link up and maybe do some other things. So I'd like to hear what the people can do so that I can understand it and know how to help support you really with your walk, man. That's what it's all about, to help support the next man, and it reciprocates.
The reason why this blog came into existence is because I have had some really sweet people, some really generous people, some really loving people, and really nurturing people expose me to ideas and concepts that I never had imagined were around. And so for me, people can actually engage by commenting, by discussing, because I wanted this blog to be a spot where people can come to a place where they have issues and they have ideas and they have concepts that they can kind of start wrapping their minds around. And like whatever part of it intrigues them, just say, this is what I'm thinking about that, or this is a concrete example of what I've seen. I like concrete examples. I like stories. Because this whole thing, this is storytelling, right? Our conversation and our medium specifically, like working with media, all of it is storytelling. So I want people to tell their story. Like, what do they experience when it comes to, like, when they hear the word soul, when they hear the word religion, when they hear the word prejudice, when they hear the word race, when they hear the word individual, when they hear, like all these things, there's triggers, there's weight to our words, there's something that touches us. And I want people to start kind of having a diverse dialogue without actually getting argumentative about it. What's very common in a conversation like show like what we're doing right now is that usually you and I are going to be like polar opposites. We're going to be fighting each other, and like that's what we've been conditioned to be attracted to, right? But I don't agree with that. I think being part of or being witness to a good conversation is just as powerful. And so how do you kind of give people an opportunity to taste some of that and try that and check it out and see what happens. What happens if we just have a good conversation and nobody necessarily wins? Nobody is necessarily right or wrong. Because honestly, like, our whole world is so gray area, much more so than black and white. So that's what I'm hoping people will engage in more. Try not to be so sure that you're right when you offer an opinion. Why don't we consult instead of, you know, having this combat and this contest, right?
Exactly, man, exactly.
If we consult, I put my idea out there, right? I say, well, this is what I think about this. Someone else puts their idea out there, and we kind of, the whole group gets to consult on it, and we can kind of see more or less where the truth seems to lie. The person who puts something in there that doesn't necessarily dominate the idea or doesn't become the end result isn't necessarily wrong. It's not necessarily a bad idea. But perhaps it's just what the general consensus didn't really kind of vibe with. But that's okay. My idea cannot be the most appropriate thing for right now. Maybe it's more appropriate for next year or next month or next week or maybe 5 hours from now, right? But putting it out there and being able to detach from it, I think is a really powerful thing. And so when this dialogue starts to generate and people start to actually comment, because I have lots of friends who are very deep Christians, deep Muslims, deep scientists, deep agnostics, and like they're great. All of them are great. Got all kinds of ways that we can interact and navigate what kind of things are we actually seeing, because we're seeing crazy stuff. All I'm saying is we got to be able to process it and we got to be able to heal. And a lot of times it comes through conversation that we actually start to connect with other souls and heal each other.
Right. Excellent, man. Excellent. Appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
Have vibrations which are not visible to the eye, but which are rapid enough to be sensed by the ear.